Hi there, my name's Nigel Bartlett. I'm the author of King of the Road, which was published by Vintage Random House. And I'd just like to acknowledge the Sydney Mechanics School of Arts, the Thomas Keneally Centre, for allowing me to take part in this author talk, for inviting me to do so, and also for Berkelouw Books, who've provided this lovely surroundings for us to do this talk on. So I thought I'd just spend a few minutes talking about King of the Road and my life as a writer. And you know, I've done a few author talks face to face with audiences, and you know, one of the questions that I often get asked is where the idea for the book came from, and also what made me want to be to write a crime thriller, which is what King of the Road is. So the answer to the first one is that the book is about a boy who goes missing, an 11-year-old boy. He's looked after by his uncle for the weekend. His uncle's 35 years old, living on his own. He's a gay man living on his own. And the uncle becomes the main suspect in the boy's disappearance. So then it's down to the uncle, David Kingsgrove, to prove his innocence and also to do what he can to help the investigation. So where did the idea come from for that? So many years ago, I was staying with a friend in London, and I was looking after her dog when I went to the shops. I was very absent-minded and left the dog outside the shop, and an hour later, when I realised, went back, and the dog had disappeared. Someone had taken the dog, and it ended happily, but it ended about 3 hours later. So in that 3 hours, I had a the most horrible, intense experience of, oh my God, I've lost someone else's child. Effectively, it was her dog. It wasn't actually one of her children. She didn't have children, but the dog was the nearest thing to having children, and I had the most horrible feeling of, oh my God, I've been so stupid. How could I have let this happen? And I know that sounds like a strange idea, but it was enough of a seed for me to start to think, what if someone was looking after a child for their brother and his sister-in-law and lost the child? How would that affect the family? How would that affect their relationships? And from there it evolved. I never set out to be a crime writer. I thought this was going to be a literary family drama. But as I was writing the first draft, someone in my writing group at the time, Kay Harrison, if you're watching this, you can take the credit, suggested, actually Nigel, this is a crime story. You really need to make this into a crime story. And so in the second draft, I rewrote it and started from first principles. This is a crime story. There's got to be a mission. There's got to be a very clear what happened next on every page, and it went from there. I was very excited when people were reading it, and they were saying, "Oh my God, I couldn't put it down." Some people stayed up all night to read it. People read it in a weekend. Some people read it in a day, which was exciting, but also, you know, I had spent quite a few years writing it, doing numerous drafts, and but anyway, it was great to see that it hit the mark, and I was very excited about that. So, you know, it's not just a crime story. It still deals with those themes of what it's like how it affects your family, and there are other themes about a man and a boy and people's attitudes towards that, especially towards gay men and a boy. Bit of, you know, homophobia and that sort of thing, and it's about David finding his own strength to do the work he has to do. And you know, since then I've been working on a second book, which is a follow-up to King of the Road. It's not exactly a sequel. It also is about David Kingsgrove, and it has some of the same themes about masculinity and male friendship, and you know, it's really exciting to be working on my second book. It's set in the world of gyms. David's a great gym goer in the first book, and in the second book he's even more of a gym goer, and it's set in an underworld side to that that David gets embroiled in. And it's been really interesting writing it. David has become a bodybuilder, and one of the interesting things for me is that I really wanted to research that, and as a result I've decided to start taking part in bodybuilding, and I'm going to enter my first competition next year. We'll see how I go, because at the moment you can see I'm quite a small guy, plus I'm 53, so you know I've got quite a lot of work for me to do ahead of that. But one of the wonderful things I find about writing is that it really opens up new paths for me. If there is anyone watching this who's interested in writing, I'll just explain my process a bit. I wrote the first draft, 150,000 words, ditched maybe 80,000 words of that, rewrote it in the second draft completely almost, wrote another third draft where I was refining it, adding in more complications, more themes, wrote a fourth draft which was again refining those themes. I ended up writing 6 drafts before I sent it to an agent. And you know, one of my tips to writers is just to keep writing, just to write rubbish. The first draft will be rubbish. Don't judge yourself, because you never know what's going to happen in the editing and rewriting process. The other thing I really suggest is, and this is something I need to learn for myself, is to put your phone away. Whenever you're out, put your phone away, but try and observe. Just try and take in what's going on around you. Look at people, listen to their conversations, look at the way they act, the way they behave with each other. I just find I get so much inspiration from real people around me, the way they look, the way they talk, and the things they do. Anyway, I'm very pleased with King of the Road. It was shortlisted for a Ned Kelly award for crime fiction, which is incredibly exciting for me. And yep, I hope you go out and read it. It's in the library at the Sydney Mechanics School of Arts and in many other libraries around the country. Thanks very much.